Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Destiny 2 YouTube video. And, I mean, what else is there to say? OEM was taken out back, and they shot it. The end. That's the video. Nice seeing you guys. Hope to see you in the next one. Thank you for watching. Anyways, that was a joke, I promise. OEM did get destroyed, but there is a list of exotic patches that are coming this next Tuesday that I would like to discuss with you guys. They are fairly extensive, actually. They've changed quite a bit in these exotics. This is from today's TWAB, March 5th. Anyways, guys, we're going to go over this right now. First up, we have the final preview of patch notes. Over the last few weeks, we've been giving some previews of your sandbox and how it will be evolving in Season of the Worthy. Not just weapon tuning, but the ability to change the elemental affinity on your armor pieces. This week, we'll be taking a wider look at Destiny 2 Update 2.8.0 exotic armor tuning for PvE and PvP, UI updates, bug fixes, and more. Now, this was the most important part of today's TWAB. These exotic changes are extensive. So we're going to start it off with the Hunter exotics. So we're going to start today with the Assassin's Cowl. The invisibility and healing effect now triggers on powered melee, both against combatants and guardians and finishers. I do believe that this is regarding the Season of Dawn mods not working in cooperation with Assassin's Cowl. If I'm wrong, let me know. I don't really use Assassin's Cowl, but I would like to know if it is a bug that's happening with Dawn mods. I wouldn't be surprised. Next up for Assassin's Cowl, we have the duration of the invisibility granted by this exotic increases based on the tier of the enemy defeated. After that, we have Arc Staff kills no longer activate the invisibility perk. Not too big of a change there. They added a little bit of a buff. They didn't really take anything away. In fact, it looks like the Assassin's Cowl comes out pretty much unscathed. If anything, it got a little bit of a buff because the invisibility gets better with the better enemies that you kill. After Assassin's Cowl, we have the Frosties. Change the ability regeneration so that it no longer stacks multiplicatively with other class ability energy generating perks. I do believe that this is referencing like perpetuation, invigoration, I think is another one of those, but those cloak mods that you have, it won't stack with those regeneration mods as well. So it is a nerf, unfortunately for the Frosties. I barely ever touch them, but it's a nerf. It happened. Next up after that, we have a decent buff, dare I say, to the Kefri Sting. All smoke bombs deal 150 damage, 150% damage while wearing this exotic. Just flat buff to the smoke bombs. I don't think there's an issue with that. Well, arguably. I mean, you could argue. They already give you wall hacks, but, you know, it's not too big of a deal. Great buff on those. After that, we have Orpheus rigs up to bat. The maximum amount of super you can regain from this exotic with a single use of Shadow Shot is 50%. Now, I'm actually unfamiliar with the regeneration is right now, but I do think 50% is a buff to what it initially gave you, or what it gives you right now. You guys will have to let me know down in the comments, but I do believe 50% is a buff on Orpheus rig. After that, we have Young Ahamkara Spine, another exotic I barely ever touch. Increases the explosion radius for trip mines by 14%. Flat out buff, not complaining. I think those exotics needed a buff, and they might actually be a little more viable now. I think I'm going to give them a shot next week in Trials. Now, ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on to the Dark Ages. The sad days. Sad days for Titans. Unless you're using Ashen Wakes, which are going to be totally broken next season. Calling it right now, if I'm wrong, well, I don't know. I guess I'm wrong. So, with Titans, we're going to start with the Ashen Wakes. Killing an enemy with a fusion grenade while wearing this exotic now refunds grenade energy. Dare I say more controversy holds. The amount of grenade energy refunded scales based on the tier of the enemy killed. I don't know if this is a PvE or a PvP buff, or if it's just a broad buff to both, which I assume it is. But Ashen Wakes next season, those things might be poggers, question mark? You guys will have to let me know what you think down in the comments about those, because I think they're going to be the new controversy holds. I don't think Warlock's Supernovas are going to go anywhere. I think they're still going to be just as viable as they are now, just with a little less range and a little less spread. But there is a nerf coming to Controversial Holds as well, which we will get to here in just a minute. After that, for Titans, we have Antaeus Wards. The shield created during a slide no longer allows chip damage through. Again, great buff to the Antaeus Wards. One of my favorite Titan exotics. If you can use it well, it will save your life so many times. So it's nice to see that they're kind of helping its viability a little bit and its consistency as well. After that, we have Doomfang Pauldrons. Fixed a bug where Doomfang Pauldrons would sometimes grant super energy from melee kills while in your super. Yeah, glad it's fixed. I didn't ever really encounter this, but I imagine if it did happen in Crucible, it was kind of a nightmare. After that, we have an interesting buff to the Mark 44 stand-asides. They reduce the delay from the start of sprinting until the overshield comes in to 0.5 seconds, down from 1.25 seconds. Now, if you guys don't know, I personally use these to get an overshield while I'm slide shotgunning. I know it sounds terrible. I'm a criminal. Everyone hates slide shotgunners, but I'm not even gonna lie. You've probably done it too. Shame me as much as you want. It's okay. I'll take it. That's what I'm here for. Your punching bag now. After that, ladies and gentlemen, let us bow our heads in silence. The one-eyed mask. Dear God. The target marking from this exotic has been replaced with target highlighting, eliminating the ability to detect targets through walls. God, they really killed it, didn't they? No longer provides a damage bonus when defeating your marked target. They really hated OEM this update. They restored the previous overshield granted by defeating your marked target, which is now a duration of 6 seconds down from 8. So I guess your overshield is coming back. Puts on a smile and goes about your day. Yeah, they completely murdered OEM. I would be surprised if this exotic is used at all next season. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe. But I seriously don't see it being viable anymore, which means Titans are kind of left with maybe 2 exotics that are worth using, and Dune Marchers, 3 I guess, because Ashen Wakes will be good next season too. You'll have Ashen Wake, Antaeus Ward's Dune Marcher, and, you know, that's pretty much it for Titan exotics that I would use personally anyways. And after that, you know, this is a throwaway exotic in the first place. Whatever they do to it, it's garbage. It's never going to change. It's a garbage exotic. Never use it. If you want, you know, if you want to see results, don't use this exotic. If you want consistency, don't use this exotic. If you want to have fun in Destiny, don't use this exotic. The explosion for the Severance Enclosure now triggers on powered melee both against combatants and guardians and finishers. Again, I assume this is a Dawn mod issue that was happening. I'm not sure, but again, let me know down in the comments if it was. The radius and damage of the explosion created by this exotic increases based on the tier of the enemy defeated. Still calling it garbage. Don't think it's going to be important or special or really anything. I guess it's a buff. This thing is going to need a lot more of those if it wants to be competitive, though. After that, we have the Warlock, starting with the Apotheosis Veil. Now, this is a very interesting buff to Apotheosis. I actually use this a lot in D1. I haven't used it at all in D2. This exotic is now guaranteed to drop with a minimum of plus 16 intellect. That is actually a very interesting buff, because it means they're going to potentially start manipulating the armor scores of exotics, which is terrifying and kind of cool at the same time, I guess. You'd be able to kind of find your mix and match a little easier if you know the base stats of your exotics. But yeah, I see the Apotheosis Veil as kind of just a middle of the pack Warlock exotic. I mean, I wouldn't really use it, but maybe they can buff it up a little more and it becomes more viable. There's nothing wrong with that. I like to see a little bit of the meta shake up now and then. And next up, we have the highly controversial Controverse Holds. Reduce the damage reduction granted by this exotic to 20%, down from 40%. So when you're holding your, you know, Super Crutch or Supernova, my bad, when you're holding your handheld Supernova and you're throwing it, when you're holding it, you're taking that reduced damage. Now you're taking 20% more damage than you were initially this season. Not a huge nerf, I don't think. I still think the time at which Supernova is able to be used, it's not going to really matter too much. I do know they're reducing the hold time on Supernova, but besides that, like I said, I still think it's going to be a super effective ability, and I think between that and the Ashen Wake exotic armor for the Titan, Crucible is going to be a nade fest next season. Could be me, but I'm calling it right now. After that, on to our second absolutely destroyed exotic, at least in my opinion. This is one of my favorite Warlock exotics for Crucible, Sanguine Alchemy. Sanguine Alchemy has received a complete redesign. More like complete destruction. Its new perk, Blood Magic, allows the wearer to pause the countdown timer of any rift they're standing in by getting weapon kills, extending the rift's duration. Now, it's not bad, but in elimination, I seriously think this is going to be a garbage exotic. Just because your enemies are going to have to take time if you kill them to spawn out, and getting consistent kills in that rift is not going to allow it to last long. Now, I know that's probably for PvP balancing, but I still prefer the OG Sanguine where you actually get the wall hacks. That's just me. Maybe it is just me, but I still think this exotic is probably an F tier now, to be honest with you. After that, we have one of my other favorite Warlock exotics getting a very nice, semi-substantial buff. It now increases the lunge range of all Warlock melee attacks, even if the ability is on cooldown. That is spectacular. I love the Ophidian Aspects. They're a very good passive exotic. They don't require you to do anything, really, to get them to work in your favor. And the fact that they're just making it more versatile and more consistent, it just brings them up. I would put them at like B or A tier, maybe. Keep in mind my tier list goes to S, so, you know, B or A is good for this one. After that, we have an interesting buff, very interesting buff, to an exotic that I have long forgotten about, which is Veritys Brow. The buff provided by this exotic now increases your grenade damage by 10% per stack. So now there's going to be a stacking effect on this exotic, and it's going to allow you to do 10% more damage with your grenade per stack. Again, great buff, potentially. We don't know yet how the stacking is going to work, but this thing looks like it's got some serious potential next season. Next up to Veritys Brow, we have the buff to allies' grenade recharge rates now kicks in when you cast your grenade. So after you throw your grenade out, your teammates are going to notice what is most likely going to be a substantial increase to their grenade regeneration, which is, again, probably going to shift PvP meta in a really strange way next season. I'd be interested to see how this works out. So far, I think Veritys Brow is definitely going to shine more in the spotlight than it did prior. I'm happy to see it. I'm glad they're shaking up the sandbox a little bit. After that, on Veritys Brow, we have this exotic now provides a buff text notification indicating how many allies are currently benefiting from your increased grenade recharge rates. Again, makes it a lot easier if you have an actual UI notification telling you how many people are being buffed, so that actually, I just thought of something. Does it show before or after you throw your grenade? It would be nice if you knew before you threw your grenade so you could get as many people in there before you threw it. I don't know. Maybe it's just having awareness, which I don't have much of in Crucible if you guys have seen me play. But besides that, guys, that is pretty much the wrap on these exotic buffs and nerfs for Season of the Worthy. Now, I still think the highlight of this patch is going to be OEM. I would be incredibly interested to see if this exotic is still in use. Be sure to let me know down in the comments whether or not you guys think this is going to be a dead exotic like the Severance Enclosure is. I believe that it's got a lot of not great nerfs going for it right now, but that's the biggest thing that I've seen off of this patch notes. Maybe, you know, Ashen Wakes come to save Titans a little bit more than they did before. The Dune Marcher's static charge is going to be nice, up to 20 meters from 12 meters. Just bigger boom booms when you're meleeing people. Besides that, I think that's about it for the video today, guys. Be sure to comment down below what you think about these exotic buffs and nerfs. I would love to know what you guys think, how they're going to shift the meta next season. I think we're going to have a very interesting meta. But as always, that's it for me, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy the video. Also, be sure to stop by my Twitch at www.twitch.tv/Fpsplasma. I stream there nearly daily, and I'm thinking about a 24-hour stream when Season of the Worthy comes out, so I'd love to see you guys all there. The subs there have been fantastic. We're up to 61 subs, and it's only been a couple weeks. You guys have been absolutely pogging it in the chat, and I also want to take this moment to say thank you to all of you who are coming to my Twitch streams. I love you all so much. I thank you very, 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 very much. I appreciate you. Hold you very dearly to my heart. Mwah, mwah. Kiss, kiss. And yeah, that's about it for me today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did watch the end, thank you, and I hope to see you in the next one.